the things that truly matter. Time management alone can take you only so far. You've tried every system, apps, time blocking, color coding, the next best beautiful planner. You're busy all day, back to back meetings, one on ones, leader requests, and putting out fires. But strategic work sits on your list for weeks. The problem isn't needing better time management. There's something productive people do and manage besides time. Welcome. Thanks for joining me. I'm Karen, and I coach high achieving working parents to stop trading sanity for success. Today, I'm going to show you exactly what's missing from every time management system you've tried and how to add it starting this week. Before we dive in, I'd love to know where you're tuning in from. Drop your location in the comments. I'm here in Baltimore, Maryland, on the East Coast of the US. I'd love to know whether you're coming from a different place in the States or maybe somewhere else in the world. Go ahead and drop your location in the comments. Okay. Um, so today is the first Rebalance You live for the month of December. And as I noted yesterday, I'm going to be sharing something that the truly productive people manage instead of just time. And here's that missing piece. Energy management is the missing piece you add to time management. Time management has a ceiling. We only have, each of us, 1,440 minutes in a day. Energy is renewable, it can be restored, and it also fluctuates. Energy can therefore be aligned with the demands of the tasks that you're trying to complete. Most advice ignores this. Most time management strategies just help you cram more into all the little crevices or small time blocks on your calendar. It's actually an approach that treats you more like a machine. Time management asks, how can you fit more in? Energy management asks, what do I have capacity for? Without energy management, you're reactive and you're doing strategic work at 4 p.m. And by the evening, when it's family time, you're exhausted. With energy management, you protect your peak hours, you align tasks based on those energy windows, and that leaves you energy left for the other important things in your life. So the metaphor is time management, schedule everything. Energy management, match work to energy level. So I'm curious, when you schedule your most important work, when do you do that? Is it whenever there's an open slot? Or do you protect specific hours for it, even if it's just 1 or 2 time blocks a week? Do you protect the time, choice B, or do you just slip it in wherever there's an open slot? All right. Here we go. All right. A lot of people, before they have an idea of what their natural energy patterns are and how to align them, they tend to just schedule things starting at the top of the day with what feels most urgent and cram as much in order to get as much done. Here's a pro tip. There is more work than each of us can possibly get done. So that's not the end goal. The end goal is not to work your way all the way through your to-do list every day, at least for most of us. It's to get the most important work done based on our greatest energy capacity, and then calling it a day when we need to transition to life outside of the office and still have some remaining energy to be present with our family and do bedtime routines, homework, those kinds of things. So we're going to talk about 3 steps to begin the energy management process. The first step is to track your energy patterns. All you need to do is for 3 to 5 days, track your energy throughout the day. So morning, maybe, mid-morning, lunchtime, mid-afternoon, and evening. And then you want to look for patterns. When are you feeling sharp? When are you feeling foggy? And when do you get a second wind? So you're looking for that high energy, that high, medium, and low energy windows at different points throughout the day. The whole purpose of this is, one, to be able to protect those high energy windows so that you can align them with your tasks that require the most energy. So number 2, after you see those patterns, when is your high energy window, that time for peak focus when your brain is the sharpest. That can be for creating things, writing things, developing strategy, planning, those things that really require your best brain power. Medium energy window. You've got solid capacity, but it's not your best creative thinking time. This is actually a good time for collaboration, for meetings, for those things where you can also maybe borrow a little energy from other people to help increase your energy. And then lastly, the low energy window. So that's when maybe the brain fog has set in. It's an afternoon slump. It really comes down to biology, those natural rhythms you have, not a matter of discipline or willpower. And then the third step in managing your energy is to actually align your capacity with the demands of your tasks. So as I mentioned, high energy is when you'll do your strategic thinking, your problem solving, your career advancing work, not email, for example. During those medium energy windows, be a good time for meetings, collaboration, execution. And then finally, that low energy window is for admin, responding on Slack, organizing files, or an intentional recharge. So I'm wondering, do you happen to know when your brain is at its sharpest during the day? Answer yes, I've noticed clear patterns, or no, never really tracked it. It's important to be able to know, because you can't work with something, meaning energy, and using it as a renewable resource unless you recognize the patterns and the natural cycles that you have. So, do you know when your brain is sharpest? A, yes. B, no. Okay. So, how did I learn that management alone wasn't going to get me to where I needed to be? Well, back in the late 90s, when I was a working parent of three busy school age kids, I was diagnosed with Lyme disease. And one of the symptoms was extreme fatigue and also brain fog. I couldn't count on when my brain would be at its sharpest. And as you can imagine, that was limiting my productivity, which also then meant me not feel very good about my ability to achieve. So, uh, what I was doing until I learned that I needed to manage my energy was I was just tackling demanding work when I had no capacity for it. And I was tending to start my day with some of those quick, easy things, such as dealing with emails, that ended up setting the whole tone for my day when it wasn't the best time for me to use my greatest mental energy. I discovered that morning time, say 7 to 11 a.m., was my golden window. After a reasonable night of sleep, that was when I could come back refreshed and ready to do my greatest thinking work. So I started protecting my morning hours for strategic work only. And believe it or not, I created a brain fog list on a little post it note that I had on my desk that I could refer to later in the afternoon when I was tired, brain fog kicked in, and I still had hours to put in my workday. So there were things like emails, cleaning up files, cleaning up my desk, um, maybe answering a phone call, anything that didn't require my best mental energy, but still help me make my way through my to-do list. The reason this was important was because you can't force strategic thinking when your brain is not at its fullest capacity. So I stopped fighting capacity and started redesigning around it. And quite honestly, I still do that today, all these years later. I know that I'm an early riser, so I can get to my heaviest thinking work first and then schedule other things based on the energy window I will find myself in. Another pro tip: I always schedule doctor's appointments in the early afternoon, and I don't take up my best mental thinking time and schedule them in the mornings. It is true, I might have to wait a little longer at the doctor's because their day has gotten behind, but I have made sure that I used my greatest capacity for thinking and aligned it with those work tasks that require it. If you are finding this helpful, I would love it if you would give this video a like. it helps push it out into the algorithm, and that means more people will see it and that they too will learn about the missing ingredient for better time management. Thanks a lot. I really appreciate it. Okay, so we've talked about how do you figure out what your natural energy patterns are and how do you align them with the demands of your work tasks. The next thing that's really important is systemizing that approach. At the beginning of this year, I started doing that very same thing. And to be honest, it's been a game changer. In fact, I don't know why I didn't start doing it earlier. Pretty sure I would have been a whole lot more productive. So it starts first on a weekly basis. For me, on Sundays, at some point, I plan out my week. And believe it or not, I start first with the workouts that I'm going to do because I need to do it in the morning when my physical energy is the highest and also when I am least likely to let it get pushed aside by other demands. So I plan out my week's worth of workouts. Then I go and look. Well, actually, that's also based on, I plan the workouts based on what my client sessions look like. Then, also based on my client sessions, I look at the 1 to 3 top business development goals, aside from meeting with clients, that I have for that week. And I make sure to, number one, list them as priorities for the week, but then I actually schedule them on a particular day in my high energy windows, so meaning in my mornings when it fits within when clients already have scheduled sessions. Another thing I do on a weekly basis, which is really up to my game, is I look at those priorities and I ask myself, which of these things that I really want to accomplish, what is the 20% of my effort that will get me 80% of the results? So I laser focus on that kind of number one of the top priorities that will give me the biggest bang for my buck based on effort and then the corresponding outcome to that effort. Also, I should say that when I am choosing those priorities, I'm also looking at personal meetings, responsibilities, appointments, those kinds of things. And so I'm looking at my week holistically, integrating work and life so that I make sure as a whole person, I'm moving everything forward week to week, the most important things. Okay, so after I've identified that 20% that will give me 80% of the impact, as I mentioned, I go ahead and I fill everything in weekly. After I've got the time protected for those top priorities, then I go ahead and fill everything else in based on, is it a medium energy window? Is it a low energy window? Making sure that I'm aligning those energy windows with what the task, the capacity the task requires. And so what I'm doing is I'm designing my week around my capacity, not fitting my priorities into little bits of time that are left over. Okay, so that's what I do weekly. Then there's another important piece to this. It's what do I do daily? Each morning or sometimes the night before, I take a few minutes to ask myself, what's the number one high impact outcome that requires my best energy either today or tomorrow? Then I ask, what do I need to do to schedule it during a high energy window, a peak focus time? And is that particular time for today, or if I'm doing this setup in the evening for tomorrow, is that time already protected? Can I slot in my most important outcome into that peak focus energy window? If there's something already scheduled in that window, then I need to ask myself, how can I align the task with my capacity? Is there something I need to do? Do I need to move what was in that block of time, that high energy window, move it to a medium energy window or a lower energy window? If I can't move it, how do I proactively go and reclaim another high energy or at least medium energy window to try and get that, uh, the demanding task completed? This is all about you taking control as much as you can of your calendar on a weekly and a daily basis so that you are doing your most demanding tasks when you have the highest energy. So here's another question for you. Do you know when your brain is at its sharpest during the day? Yes? You've identified clear patterns. No, you've never really tracked it. As I mentioned, I know for sure that my peak focus windows of time are in the morning. So much so that often I start my workday by like 7 a.m. Because by, say, 2 p.m., I am already on the downside slide to the point where by 3 or 4, my energy is really, really low. And I need to recharge a bit and wait for it to recover a little bit so that I can have a bit of a second wind in the early evening hours. So for you, when is your brain at its sharpest? Do you know? Okay. So without energy management, you are chasing completion, working through whatever comes to mind. Strategic work sits on your to-do list. You're exhausted by dinner, and your career advancing work is untouched. With energy management, you protect peak hours for high impact work, strategic projects get done, you leave work on time, you have energy through dinner, and you're advancing your career while you're present with your family. That's pretty much of a game changer, isn't it? Okay, so of course, let's give ourselves a reality check. Uh, these are guidelines. This is a process to a guidelines that you can follow to the best of your ability. But sometimes life happens. In fact, it happens a lot. Kids get sick. Bosses schedule meetings. That no doubt you're going to get thrown curveballs. But this is still an improvement, trying to intentionally align your energy windows with the capacity you need for the tasks on your list, being able to do that some is still likely better than what you're doing now, which is protecting very little to actually no time like this. So energy aware scheduling equals strategic protection, not perfect control. Even 2 to 3 protected hours per week makes a huge difference in order to get the work done that will advance your career. 20% of your effort that yields 80% of your results, that then makes you visible and ready for advancing your career. Emails and fires still get handled, but they get handled more likely during medium to low energy windows. Okay, if you have found this interesting and are really curious to learn more about energy management, I'd like to invite you to my free community called Rebalance You. And within my community, I have a course called the Power Hour System. And by joining the community, you'll get immediate access to that free course, which includes an energy awareness template so you can track your patterns, a weekly priority filter to help you identify those 1 to 3 high impact tasks, a self-investment focus planner, which is a way to help you repurpose the hour that you will gain by working smarter, not harder, and doing that energy awareness scheduling. The self-investment planner can help you figure out what are you going to do with that hour to either increase your productivity, recharge your energy, do something just for your well-being. And then finally, the Power Hour system includes a weekly reset checklist so that you can make it automatic week after week. If you are interested in getting access to the Power Hour system, please comment energy below, and I will be more than happy to send you a link to my free community. So again, comment energy right now, and I will send you a link so you can join the community for free as soon as possible. Okay, let's wrap up. Time is finite. Each one of us has the same 1,140 minutes, but energy is renewable, and that makes it the missing piece of all time management systems. We've talked about 3 steps to engage in energy management: track your patterns, identify your energy windows, and then align your work with your capacity. And then we've talked about how to make it systematic. So a weekly planning process that protects your peak hours first, and then daily check-ins, which allows you to actively redesign what's happening with your energy and your capacity each day so that you're working smarter, not harder, and actually getting more done. And then finally, I invited you to my Power Hour system in my free community called Rebalance You, so that you can access my Power Hour system course and get various templates that will help you become energy aware and then systematize it with your weekly and daily planning. And if you'd like that access to that toolkit, of templates, comment energy below, and I'll send you a link to my community right away. So for all of you out there, and I was one of them, I was a working parent who felt that the problem was I didn't know how to manage time better. And if I could just learn it, then I would be able to get everything done. And I'm here to say what really is the game changer is to manage your energy. And when you start aligning your energy windows with the capacity demands of your tasks, that's when you will stop sacrificing sanity for success. Thank you so much for joining me today. I will be back next Wednesday for another episode of Rebalance You Live.